The recap room welcomes you all. Today, I bring you a movie called Squid Game. The film is very thrilling and intense. This movie kept me up all night to review it for you guys. I hope you'll take 3 seconds to subscribe. Now let's go. Jihoon is a poor unemployed guy. Borrows money from the mafia to buy phone 14 Pro Max. When Jihoon couldn't pay, the gang boss forced him to sign papers to sell his kidney within a month. His wife divorced him and remarried. Jihoon's life was so miserable that even boarding a leisure boat ended up in a missed opportunity. Just then, the most handsome man on earth appeared. He tempted Jihoon play the paper slapping game. Each win earned him some billions, but if he lost, he'd only get slapped. Big rewards but light penalties. The first round yielded no results. When it was the handsome guy's turn, he succeeded. It's not easy. The main began to get frustrated, trying hard but losing more and more with each round. Surely this man has some secret that allows him to win every time, causing the protagonist to suffer defeat after defeat. Finally, the main also succeeded, receiving money from him. And he began to persuade the main to earn even more money. The main refused out but was shocked to find the other person knew all his personal details. And know that he was heavily in debt to buy the iPhone 14 Pro Max. He offered, "If you want to join, just give me a call." Excitedly giving the money to his mother at home, he received shocking news. She explained that he needed the money so his daughter wouldn't have to go to the US with her stepfather. The mother was deeply saddened. At the end of his rope, the main decided to call the man to join the Squid Game. When he boarded the van, he was sprayed with a sedative. Upon waking up, he found hundreds of people like him. Game start. The scale of the game was immense. The old man wore a jersey numbered 001, the main is 450, managers were the ones in red outfits. In total, there would be 6 rounds of play in the upcoming days. Turns out, everyone here had one thing in common: if anyone won the prize, they would become an instant millionaire. The rules of the game would only be announced when it began. People signed the consent forms hastily, unaware of the impending horror. Once the papers were signed, the game immediately commenced. The mysterious figure activated it, and 456 people entered a room. The rules were simple: move when signaled, freeze when the doll turns back. Anyone moving would be eliminated. 5 minutes is limited. The first round began. One young man moved too quickly, and a gunshot rang out, leaving everyone puzzled about the elimination process. The young man started vomiting blood, terrifying his companions. Those who attempted to flee faced fatal gunfire. Afterward, the group realized the true nature of the game, but it was too late. Panic set in, leading to a frantic attempt to flee. The gunfire mercilessly killed hundreds at a horrifyingly rapid pace. The rules were reminded: losing meant death. Surprisingly, an elderly man seemed joyfully playful despite the circumstances. It turned out the old man had cancer, so it didn't matter to him. With each round, another person departed. Time passed, and lives were lost one by one. A clever girl stayed behind, walking cautiously to avoid the censors. As the person ahead fell, another clung to the protagonist, pleading for help. Despite the urgency and little time left, the protagonist could offer no aid. These desperate players had joined the game to amuse someone else. The elderly man and many others reached the finish line, while the main remained trapped behind. Eventually, the Indian guy cleverly held him up, and they were the last ones to finish. Episode 2, the deceased from Episode 1 were set ablaze, and anyone still alive was immediately burned alive. This part was named Hell. After Part 1, only 201 persons survived. A woman begged to reset the game, fearing for her child and elderly mother at home. Many others pleaded too, each having loved ones waiting for them. If they wished to reset, they could, but they had to consider the rewards. It's really a huge amount of money, even though a lot of people were eliminated. If it's done, each person will get more than 100 million won. Those who wanted to continue pressed the green button, while those who wanted to reset pressed the red button. Voting was supposed to go from highest to lowest. The protagonist now only wanted to see his child and wished to go home. But others, upon seeing the money, had different thoughts. Those who wanted to continue argued that living without money was better than dying. The voting quickly reached a deadlock, with one elderly person suffering from cancer still undecided. Unexpectedly, the elderly person still wanted the others to live, so they agreed to end the game. However, the rest of the group insisted on continuing and decided to sell out the protagonist. Then they surrounded the main and the girl on the road. The main went to report to the police, but the police officers didn't believe. There's no way that someone could kill 255 people at once. The protagonist couldn't provide any evidence. They thought he was delusional, unable to make contact by phone. Others attempting to report to the police were also turned away. Upon returning home, the protagonist couldn't find his mother. Turns out she had severe diabetes and had to be hospitalized. But without money, she had to come back home. Many landlords reported missing persons. Inspector Junho arrived at the scene and noticed they all had a similar card. Many people are in dire straits, like the Indian brother or this girl. The director is also being questioned by the police. At this moment, the organization sends an invitation card. Detective Junho locates Jihun's address, but the protagonist, feeling disillusioned, remains tight-lipped. Inside, Junho finds another invitation card. So quickly, they're back on the road to another round of the game. Coincidentally, many others think it's a sign of fate. Detective Junho follows from behind. Marks the end of episode 2. In episode 3, Detective Junho follows alone to a port in Morin. He swiftly hitches a ride under a car onto a departing ship. On the other side, they start scanning people with chips. Detective Junho, unaware, pretends to board the van. The scan yields no information. He swiftly disables and impersonates the driver, tossing his body into the depths, luckily without detection. Transporting everyone continues. With only 187 players left, the stakes are higher. Detective Junho returns to his room, but there is a camera. Seizing the opportunity while the woman is in the restroom, she takes a small round box of drugs. Detective Junho, among the group, is led to a large room. Each person must choose one of 4 pictures in front of them. The main's friend recalls a childhood game but keeps it secret from him. The main pick umbrella picture. Each person receives a box containing their task, using a needle to separate candy. Solving Namchin's puzzle is the hardest. With only 10 minutes, failure means death. The tension is palpable, even in what seems like a child's game. Accidentally damaging the picture leads to dire consequences, resulting in many deaths. They thought the game easy, but it's very difficult. Each gunshot made their hearts race. The lady had a lighter, which was quite convenient. The main's friend succeeded, followed by the Indian guy. Many others also managed to succeed. The main still had the hardest part left, and time had run out. Suddenly, sweat drops fell from his forehead. The lady had finished her task while the main character still hadn't completed his. Never before has deception brought so much hope. It left everyone in the room dumbfounded. Eventually, the results were out. Now, someone who's about to lose is about to be shot. On ta von len quap duok kao sung roy ban hang mot teen dike roy and han shong kong che them duok mot ka Thursday high. He rises, seizes a gun, shoots one enemy, then quickly takes down another. Realizing his fate, the old man commits suicide, and anyone who reveals their face will be shot dead. The 3rd episode ends. Moving on to episode 4, everyone returns to their rooms exhausted. Although the main had his doubts, he didn't want to stir up trouble. At this point, the pot has reached 7.9 billion in total. There are now 108 players left. Lunch today consists of only 1 egg and a bottle of soda. Player 101 is extremely frustrated. Then, the lady suggests they line up again. As a result, the last person in line doesn't get any food. Player 271, enraged, runs up and snatches the soda bottle from player 101, causing a commotion. Jihun complains to the pink shirt team. But they just stand still. The representative behind the screen sees all this but refuses to comment. On the screen, they curse at someone, and 100 million won is added to the pot. The head jerk realizes that if he kills everyone, winning will be easy. The main also realizes player 101's intentions, so he tells his team, "Tonight, there's no sleep." He says people trust each other because they need a place to rely on. A group of staff secretly harvests organs from eliminated players to sell on the black market. The doctor who helps them is the one wearing glasses. In return, he was informed about the game beforehand, but he must survive tonight on his own. After 111 returns to his room, he immediately approaches the gold-faced person and asks to join the head jerks group, claiming to be a doctor, but it's only when he reveals that he knew about the game beforehand that agreed. Police, wearing the square mask from the previous, enters the triangle-shaped rooms to lurk outside a player's room. The head jerk immediately kills the girl who accused him in the afternoon. No one can see anything. The control turns on flashing lights, irritating the player's eyes. But even so, we see that player 101 killed player 67, the girl attacking the jerk's small companion, but as soon as she runs over, she's picked up. Now, 331 sneaks up from behind to attack him. He stabs him with a knife. Jihoon fell to the ground is attacked by 413 with a stick. He hugs his legs, but he's still brutally beaten. Luckily, Ollie from above comes to help. All three run to the 001 bed, but they don't find the old man. Everyone goes mad, completely losing their humanity. A girl runs to the door to ask for help, but she's ignored and dies tragically. It's really chaotic. The two teams rush to fight. Ollie wielded a wooden stick to deter everyone, while the old man crying out for everyone to stop. Representative finally intervened and announced an end to the chaos. The staff rushed in to calm down the players and assess the casualties. Suddenly, the square-shaped screen asked Main if he knew someone named Inho. He replied that the players didn't know. With only 80 survivors remaining, Jihoon instructed the whole team to introduce themselves. Doctor is treating his wounds. The woman sacrificed herself. Let's meet in the toilet room. At night, Junho waits for the lights to write notes. Every night he hears a cough, this time he writes it down in code. When he realizes it's number 29, meaning someone is calling him. The next morning, number 28 next to him keeps coughing, wanting to take him away for quarantine. Jihoon wakes up to find 001 staying up all night, watching for everyone. He's touched, but now the game starts again, the third one. This time it's team-based, with 10 members per team. One man, knowing the game beforehand, chose the strongest members, while Jihoon's team has elders and women. Decides they need 5 more men. Everyone disperses to find them. Sangwoo finds a man, but he insists his wife joins too. Sangwoo immediately refuses. Sabok spots a girl her age sitting alone, so she chooses her. As for the other woman, after finding out she wasn't chosen by 101, she clings and begs, but he just walks away. Sangwoo looks at his team, now with an extra woman. Sangwoo is not pleased. At this moment, a lady insisted on joining to make up the numbers just as the preparation time ended. At the top were 2 large square platforms indicating the third challenge, Tug of War. Team 101 felt confident of victory while Jihoon's team seemed despondent. The first is the Thugs team in Team 7. Especially since they had women. Not long after, Team 7 was pulled down one by one. A blade cut the rope holding the 10 people, causing them to fall from a height to their deaths. Circular staff nodded, then signaled, and the man gasping for breath was placed in a box, blood used to draw a cross. Second round featured Jihoon's team against a team of 10 healthy men. The old man proclaimed himself king of Tug of War. Staff members tied ropes around each person's wrists to prevent escape. After a brief strategy discussion, they positioned themselves, with the strongest, Ollie, at the rear, using their weight to intimidate. After a 10-second pause, Seo began pulling with all his might. Jihoon's team managed to gain some ground, but their opponents quickly regained strength. The opposing team edged closer to the death line. Sangwoo then devised a plan to take 3 steps forward after counting to 3. With no time for hesitation, everyone took the risk. As the entire team pulled, the opponents couldn't regain their balance and fell. Jihoon's team once again escaped death. They chatted until it was time for lights out. To counter tonight's chaos, Jihoon's team set up shifts. They took turns every night. 101 went to the other side. The man suggested he should look out for himself. His words truly made the thugs start to doubt their team. They were told to stop fighting tonight, as the doctor had been called by the organ trafficking staff. Triangle blamed Juno for missing the last shipment. Luckily, 28 spoke up in his defense. Triangle mocked him, and 111 blamed him for being slower. The doctor said him do himself. So Triangle started accusing 111 of causing a patient's death during surgery. The two began to argue fiercely. They should focus on their business. In the room, the thug couldn't dare to sleep, while Jihoon's side was on night duty. The old man called them up for a chat. Suddenly, he started ranting and raving. The living have their own truth. The other day, Juno wasn't questioned about what happened to that person. Because 29 was the one who cleaned up. The doctor became furious. So the police was overlooked again. Then they handed over the goods to 28 and 29 to take to the main dock. After 111 asked what the next game would be, Triangle unexpectedly said he didn't know. Angry, he grabbed a scalpel and threatened him. He ordered the other guy up to the bed, asking him, then pushed the doctor out. He was shot and killed. 111 knocked the other guy over and ran off to the candy yard. Just as he was about to execute him, the leader appeared and shot him dead. He said it would affect the fairness of the game. 111 men dead. Meanwhile, Juno was discovered by 28 to be fake. Quickly, he pointed the gun at him. Juno said the person they killed was actually his brother. 28 suggested they kill the common woman. Juno shot him and then secretly entered the leader's room. He finds the list of winners, including his brother's name. Lights are turned on at night, and the staff with guns rush in, making everyone line up. The old man refuses to get up, so it turns out he had an accident. Jihoon ties his coat around him. Everyone is then informed to participate in the fourth. On the way, they are horrified to see the hanging hooks on the ceiling, including the doctor. This time, the game pairs up with another. Jihoon wants to go with Sangyu, but 218 quickly chooses Ollie. The main guy decides to choose the old man. Sabak pair with 240. 212 is left alone and is forcibly taken away by the staff. The staff take them to positions. Each person is given a bag containing 10 marbles. They think it's a marble shooting game, but is to compete with a teammate to win 10 marbles from the teammate. 30 minutes, and Sangyu chooses an extreme strategy. The first guy who enters loses to a trick played. The old man refuses to play and just wanders around. 240 spends time chatting instead of focusing on the game. They're not afraid of revealing secrets. 218, with only one marble left, scared to death, accusing him of cheating and yells at him. When the staff threatens Ollie with a gun, Yu kneels down and begs Ollie for help. Despite being scared, he agrees, says that as long as both of them have marbles left, they'll get to compete with another team. Then he asks Ollie to check on the other teams. He probably switched the bags. The old man until he agrees to play with Jihoon. But the main guy quickly loses his marbles. Fortunately, he snatched back 3 marbles. The old man all in with 3 marbles. Main, though saddened, had to make the right guess for his own sake. Jihoon thought he had won, then stood up disappointed, but the old man still had 1 marble hidden in his pocket. Later, refusing to play further with him, the thug requested a change in the game. Each person would take turns throwing marbles into a hole. Whoever succeeded would win all the marbles. He, holding the last marble, thought he would win them all, but accidentally hit one of 101's marbles, so the thug won. The 2 girls sat and talked about family matters. Her mother was also killed. She had just been released from prison when she was invited to this game. 67 was given a chance to live and cried. After checking, Ollie couldn't find Sangdu anywhere. When he poured out his marbles, he found only stones inside and was immediately shot dead. Jihoon chased the old man into the last house. He said they would play a final game, but he had to bet all. Main, furious, shouted for someone else to play, but the old man said he had also deceived him. But then, number 1 gave him his last marble, thanking Jihoon for being kind to him. He burst into tears like a child and hugged him, leaving with his marbles. The old man said that he known his name. Episode 7 begins with the removal of the casualties from round 4. The lady is alive. It turns out this is the rule of the game. The number of survivors after this round is only 17. The guy in black also discovers that the undercover cop is in the room, because of the phone. Just as he discovers the undercover cop in the document room, the lower-level staff report a suspicious body, so the guy is lucky to escape death. After round 4, everyone is sad. The black leader checks the body and finds the documents of the undercover cop, thinking that the cop is dead. It turns out that VIPs want to witness the game firsthand rather than watch it on TV. These wealthy billionaires entertain themselves by betting on the lives of those poor souls. The husband, too filled with regret, hanged himself, reducing the number of players to just 16. Round 5 immediately commences. In another room, many billionaires are sitting, waiting for the leader to reveal the next game. Each person must choose a numbered shirt. The Inspector Juno recorded everything on video. People follow the herd. Got con chan dao hok la chan koi chua beat la choi la gi keen vik na tiaron and het su seat song tang. Now it's a choice between the first or 16. One person chooses the first shirt number, so Maine is the last one left. The billionaires become live spectators. Round 5 will involve crossing a glass bridge, with some panes being tempered glass and others normal glass. Players must guess the tempered glass to successfully. And the shirt numbers correspond to the order of crossing the bridge. The glass is far away, so they're forced to jump. The first step brings a lucky smile, but on the second step, death's mouth awaits, and the next number also quickly moves forward. Equivalent to one correct choice out of over 32,000 options. Knowing death is near, this youth runs fast, luckily making it 5 steps. Players behind must remember which pane is safe, but the tense uncle number 4 can't recall. The players behind also get confused. Another person left. Perverted billionaire keeps trying to seduce the investigator. Juno must remove his mask. Outside, people are also quite far from the main. Players don't step out of the ordinary, they will lose everything. Player 6 is afraid to sit still and implores. Player 8 rushes forward and pushes him down to make way, but the person in front means he will face the most pressure. Player 8 also manages to take one more step. The male lead is too scared, don't remember. Fortunately, this girl stubbornly shows him. He said he saw different colors in 2 different glasses. Randomly picking one turned out to be unlucky and died. The first one is now the person who decides the front, with 5 chances to set extremes. This troublemaker forces others to move up. He will just stand here without moving. He can come up with cruel things. Time is quickly running out. He quickly orders him to go to the private room. The inspector cannot resist and is forced to reveal everything about this game. Outside, the person behind was too impatient and pushed him up. Injustice often meets on narrow paths. These may be the 2 people who hate each other the most. She said it's a surprise. The billionaires are even more excited to see it. The leader in black at this point also orders someone to check the VIP. There are only 3 steps left, 2, 4, and 4 people. This guy is a glassmaker who has been confident for 30 years that he can distinguish. He knows, but doesn't tell those who go first. The leader submitting documents also discovers this glassmaker. He turns off the lights. Now there is only one last step left, but still have to struggle for survival. Time is also only 1 minute left. The employee inside has found the billionaire beaten up. The leader in black must move immediately. He entered and clearly saw the face climb down near the stairs below. Outside, the uncle said that whatever could be heard could be distinguished. Fortunately, the main character still had 1 marble left. With only 20 seconds left, his friend crossed to push him. Right when time ran out, the glass bridge also exploded. The red soldiers also noticed the father following the sea route, seemingly equipped with a locator attached to the cold items. After 5 rounds, only 3 people survived. He has gone ashore. This room, a few days ago, still had over 400 people, but today only 3 are left alive. Jihun asked, if that person were me, would you push me? Everyone knows the result. The girl was injured by a piece of glass in her stomach. Juno climbed up the cliff and looked down. He saw that they were being chased closely. He quickly called the rescue team. If they didn't hurry, he would die. After 5 rounds, the 3 were rewarded with a rare meal, but perhaps they had no appetite left. Maybe this would be their last meal, after being hungry for days, eating only corn, and feeling full faster than an ex-girlfriend. While he was discovered outside, the search team transformed to pursue them to the fullest extent. Both sides kept firing at each other. He was extremely clever. Everyone here has finished eating. They left each person a knife. Outside, the father shot the black-shirt guy in the shoulder. This was the older brother he had been looking for. So, the winner from last year became the leader. He invited his younger brother to join but was refused, intentionally shooting his younger brother in the shoulder. 3 people were hesitantly defending themselves with knives. Maine, of course, didn't want to kill anyone. They were cousins, but money blinded him. Indeed, this strange girl was more trustworthy than him. He wanted to come and protect her together. If they won, they would split the prize money, the leader leaving the 3 people with a pile of money to stimulate their greed and desire to kill each other. The girl wanted the main character to take care of her brother and mother. The main saw his cousin nodding off, so he wanted to kill him. Now he knew the girl was injured and about to die. He hurriedly ran out to knock on the door, calling for a doctor. Maine rushing to the shrine for her. He wanted to kill his cousin for revenge. Why didn't they split the money and instead harm each other like this? Splitting it would have been enough for a lifetime. They say human greed knows no bounds, and it's not wrong. In the final round, only the 2 brothers were left to fight. They would use the ink-stained cloth to know who attacked and who defended. The main luckily got to attack, while his brother would defend. This final game was called the Squid Game. The attacker had to step inside the inked squid picture, pass the defender, and step on the squid's head to win. The defender needed to push the attacker out of the lines. If one of them died, the other would immediately win. Game start. This was the most exhausting and brutal. But the attacker had one disadvantage: they could only hop on one leg. He throwing sand in his brother's face to easily pass the squid's neck. Now he could walk with both legs, just as the rain poured down. Now have to face life and death with each other. He managing to grab the knife from his younger brother. Unfortunately, he quickly dropped the knife. This life and death struggle continued for the wealthy people above to enjoy. A moment later, the main character was lucky to break free from the rope around his neck, but he had grabbed the knife and stabbed him twice. Would the older brother's life end here? In the end, he reached out, grabbing the dropped knife and stabbing it directly into his younger brother's leg. He's so angry because of money. But he still can't bring himself to act. He left you to advance cautiously so you could hand over the soldier. But suddenly, at the gates of heaven, he stopped and said, "I'm not playing anymore. The rules say that if both agree to quit, the game can stop. If your brother agrees, you can still save the life your brother sacrificed 800 billion for, even though he has tried to harm you to death several times, but he feels unworthy and decides to take his own life. Take care of mom and my wife and kids." The leader said, "You're just racehorses, don't care about the creators of the game." After speaking, the protagonist was drugged again and thrown into the middle of a crowded street with an ATM card in his mouth. He immediately went to the ATM to withdraw the amount, which was indeed 46 billion. The first person he met was the aunt of his deceased brother, but he can't say anything. He quickly went home to see mom, but she was already gone. "Mom, I'm sorry, I'm late." A year later, the protagonist disappeared. The bank director himself came to suggest a savings plan for him, but the protagonist only asked him for 10,000 and then bought a bottle of wine to drink by the riverbank. A lady gave him a card. The card had a clear address. There he met the cancer patient from the day before. So does that mean this old man is the ultimate? The old man didn't answer but pointed to a homeless person below. If no one helps him, he'll freeze to death. The old man said that by midnight, if no one helps him, he wins, but if someone helps him, he loses. If the old man loses, he accepts that the protagonist will kill him, but if he wins, the protagonist must listen to him. The protagonist asked why this old man had so much money. It turns out he created high-interest software and hired people to make calls and collect debts. Only 5 minutes left, but still, no one helps the freezing man. The old man said that when he and the billionaires have too much money, nothing makes them happy anymore. So they start to get bored with life. So he infiltrated the billionaires group and found something interesting. As a result, the survival game was born. He devised childish games to reminisce about joyful memories. Just as the clock struck midnight, the young man received help, he leaving nothing but a puzzle for the mysterious figure behind. And the protagonist found a new zest for life. This is the total amount. The protagonist stepped off the pier only to unexpectedly witness the world's most handsome man enticing others. Unfortunately, the man had already boarded the train. He decided to track them down by force to make them pay the price. End of Series 1. Wait for Series 2. End of the movie. Please take 3 seconds to subscribe to our channel to support us. Thanks for watching. See you later. End of today. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.